The meeting of the Atlantic County Board of Commissioners is called to order. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act of the State of New Jersey, adequate notice of this meeting of the Atlantic County Board of Commissioners was provided in the following manner. Published in the Press of Atlantic City and mailed to the Hamilton Gazette and has been posted on the bulletin boards of the Atlantic County Office Building in Atlantic City, the Stillwater Building in Northfield, and the County Office, Clerk's Office in Mays Landing. Opening prayer.
God, we thank you for the wonder of your presence each day. Help us to realize the possibilities in each one of us and be a positive influence on others in all that we say and do. And help us remember that all we face with you. Amen.
Amen. Please stand and face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, have a roll call.
Chairwoman, Commissioner Corsi is unable to attend today. Commissioner Burns and Commissioner Berger are attending virtually. Ballas?
Here.
Bertino?
Here.
Burns? Dees?
Here.
Here.
Gatto? Parker?
Present.
Risley?
Here.
Kern.
Here. Commissioners have had an opportunity to review the minutes from August 6, 2024. I'll entertain a motion to adopt the August 6, 2024 minutes as presented.
I have a
Moved. Second.
second.
Moved by Commissioner Days, seconded by Commissioner Gatto. Any commissioner comments? Okay, we'll have a roll call.
Ballas?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Burns? Dees?
Yes.
Gatto?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
Kern.
Yes. Motion carries. Anyone attending in person who would like to speak regarding an agenda item or a public comment, please come to the podium, speak into the microphone, state your name and the town where you reside. You'll be provided up to 3 minutes to speak. If you're attending virtually and would like to speak, please raise your hand during the agenda item or at public comments at the end. I'll call upon your name and a request to unmute will be sent. Please state your name and the town you reside. You'll be provided up to 3 minutes to speak as well. And we now have a presentation.
State Development and Redevelopment Plan by Donna Rendero, Executive Director, State Planning Commission.
And we have Donna Rendero. I think we also have Elizabeth Turner in the audience from the Atlantic County City Development Corporation.
I don't see her here, but she did tell me she was
Yeah, she's
going
going
to
to be
come.
coming today. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. And I want to say I appreciate your having me. And I want to say good afternoon to all of the commissioners and all of my friends in Atlantic County. With me today, I have Langley Oudmans. She is our intern that we're providing to Atlantic County to assist in this effort. So she wanted to hear us. There is a presentation. So my office is the Office of Planning Advocacy. We are the administrative arm of the State Planning Commission. We are out of the Department of State. And so on behalf of the Lieutenant Governor and on behalf of Melanie Willoughby, the Executive Director of the Business Action Center, I want to say thank you for having us. Next slide. Just really quickly about the Business Action Center. The Business Action Center's primary goal is to assist small businesses in a lot of different ways. And all that shows is that there's a real connection between good land use and economic viability. And it's really important to know that because a lot of times people don't understand that connection. So there really is a strong connection. We work very closely with our business advocates to make sure that wherever there is economic opportunity, we connect that land use to that process. Next slide. So those are the offices within the Business Action Center. We have export promotion. We have business advocates that teach folks where to locate, where to relocate. We have our office. We have the Cannabis Training Academy, and then the Small Business Advocacy. Next slide. But we're here to talk about the state plan. So really quickly, next slide. The state plan is required in the State Planning Act. So it's a statutorily mandated document that is designed to present a balance of development and conservation objectives throughout the state. And the key word here is balance. It's not an economic development plan, it's not an environmental protection plan, it's not an affordable housing plan. It's a way to figure out how to do all of it and to do it all comprehensively. Next slide. But the state plan is not regulatory. I can't come to you and say you must comply with the state plan. It's guidance on good land use. We really strongly encourage the counties and the municipalities to participate because that's where you have a voice. Our requirement that's in the statute requires us to not only horizontally within our state agency partners come up with a comprehensive plan, but to see how we can be consistent at the state, at the county, and at the local level, at the municipal level. Now, nobody believes that 564 municipalities, 21 counties, and 18 state agencies are all going to agree. But we do need to try to come up with the highest level of consensus that we can. Next slide. We have to update the state plan. We're a little bit late, where the current plan is from 2001, so we're 20 years behind where we should be. Next slide. And so there are 4 processes for this update, and we're going to end up with 4 end products. One is the plan document itself, the second is an infrastructure needs assessment, and the third is an impact assessment, and then the state plan policy map and the mapping protocols that goes along with it. What's really critical, it's in there in the statute, it's in there in our rules, is stakeholder engagement is critical. We are required to hold 27 public hearings. I have to do, once the preliminary plan is issued, I have to do 21 public hearings in 45 days, 1 in each county. And then there's another 6 that are required when we do the draft final plan. But we didn't think it was early enough, and we didn't think it was enough. So we've done a lot of outreach in most of last year, and I'll talk about that going forward. Next slide. So the preliminary plan is what we're working on now as we're working on the mapping piece of it. I would have liked that to have been done a little bit sooner, and if there's any delay that we're seeing now is I'm not happy with, frankly, but I think it's an important conversation for all of our state agencies to be aligned and so they can support the plan. And would I like to have the preliminary plan done by probably, I don't know, let's say in the early part of the summer? Yes, that would have been better, but it's really an important process, and it's really an important piece to get it right the first time for the preliminary plan. And here's our Commissioner Terenik. So once that preliminary plan is out, that triggers that cross-acceptance process. And that's where we wait at the State Planning Commission 45 days so that everyone has a chance to digest the preliminary plan. And that's where we have to hold those 21 public hearings, and the way the rules are written, no sooner than 45 days and no later than 90 days. So I'm going to pack a bag north and just keep going south and keep going. And during that cross-acceptance process is when, and I'll talk a little bit about what cross-acceptance does in a minute, but once that cross-acceptance is completed, what comes out of that cross-acceptance process is a statement of agreements and disagreements. And we have to present that to the commission, and they need to understand where we agree and where we disagree on not only the goals, but also the mapping protocols. Then we would produce a draft final plan. The commission has 6 more public hearings, and then the commission can consider adopting that as a final plan. Next slide. The infrastructure needs assessment is a separate document that it talks about not only the infrastructure needs throughout the state, and those infrastructure needs are fairly extensive. It's water, it's transportation, it's solid waste, it's drainage, shore protection, and a lot of different pieces of affordable housing, there's farmland retention. So infrastructure is more broadly defined. And it's not only for our infrastructure needs today, but the infrastructure needs going forward through the life of the plan, which at this point goes out to 2050. Clearly, there's not enough money on the planet to cover all of our infrastructure needs, but it's a way to help us prioritize where that investment should go. Next slide. The impact assessment basically just talks about what would the state look like if we didn't have a plan, if we didn't have guidelines on where to develop and where to conserve. And that we've just started to work on. Both of those two documents need to be completed for the draft plan. Next slide. State plan policy map. This is what we're spending a lot of time with now, and this we think is probably going to be 90% of the discussion on cross-acceptance. So starting it now, even before the formal cross-acceptance process begins, it will be that much ahead of the game. This is the current map. The state is divided into planning areas. Planning areas 1 and 2 are where we encourage growth. 1 is like a metropolitan planning, like the Newarks, the Camdens of the world. Planning area 2 are the suburban areas where we do encourage development. And I call that's the magenta colors, and I call that the state plan sash because it kind of goes from Newark down to Camden. Planning area 4 is rural. Planning area 5 is environmentally sensitive. And planning area 3 is kind of a fringe. It's in between those two. Atlantic County has a lot of planning area 5Bs, and those are barrier islands, because those have particular concerns, and we want to make sure that that's addressed separately. The interesting thing about this map is I have a map in my office from 1934, and it looks almost exactly the same. 100 years ago, the industrial area was where the growth occurred. The green areas where you can see the pinelands and the highlands up in the northwest, those were still, even though they weren't named that at that point, they were still the most environmentally sensitive areas that we have. Next slide. We did a number of process improvements. Anybody that has been around for the last go-round, it's like deer in the headlights. It was a nightmare of a process the last time. There's no doubt about it. But we're taking advantage of technology that we have today that we didn't have 23 years ago. And so we've updated our rules to allow for virtual meetings. We can accept submissions from municipalities and counties electronically. That was not in the current rules that we originally had. The preliminary plan we can send out electronically. One example here is that it required every municipality in the state to send us their master plan. That would have inundated us in paper. We thought that was really silly. Most municipalities have their master plans online, so we're going to take advantage of that. We have 2 interactive mapping tools that we started that we really think are going to be really integral in the mapping discussion. One is called Survey 123. It's an Esri product where you can manipulate the boundaries of planning areas as well as centers and send that back and forth. The municipalities would submit that to the counties. The counties then submit that to us in one file, and we can go back and forth electronically as we discuss those boundaries and whether or not we agree with them, we disagree with them, and how we can work together to come up with a compromise. So that really, we think, is really going to be very integral in it, and a number of counties have already started to use that. We also are creating something, here we talk about a development suitability index. And this is not a policy, it's really a tool to provide information. And what this document does, what this map does, is it identifies environmental features, it identifies development features. Sewer service areas, are you near transit? Are you in an area that can be redeveloped? And then obviously the environmental concerns, floodplains, steep slopes, if there's threatened and endangered species. We've ranked them and we put them together to form a map that will show you where you will have information on where it's best to develop and where it's best to conserve, and where you would find obstacles, say you're in a floodplain, and it will identify that, but it will be done in context of the development factors as well. So that is about to be introduced in about 2 weeks. And then we have engaged public input. It's a software for tracking and consolidating public comment, so we have all of that information electronically stored. Next slide. I don't have to go into a lot of this, but we talked a little bit about the outreach here. The process is ongoing. We have a number of ways for people to provide input to us, and that we thought that what's required in the rules, though, is not enough. And we did do 8 webinars. We had a number of, I'll talk to anybody who'll give me a talk. So I've been to the league, I've been all over the place. Have a really, really good relationship with the County Planners Association. And that's really, really helped, because they will say to us that we don't like the way this process works. Can you fix it? And we'll listen. As long as it complies with my rules, and as long as it's consistent with the statute, I'll certainly listen to a better way to do things. Next slide. There's some of the ways of us getting that public input. We have a Department of State email address. We have the public input email address. You can even leave a voicemail with a comment at that phone number, or just go on to the public input website and then talk about tell us what you think. We are working with our interagencies, with our state agency partners, and as I said, the county planners have been phenomenal. Next slide. So through the end of last year, primarily we got our ducks in a row. We did a lot of the outreach. We had a lot of conversations with our state agency partners. We had 18 county informational meetings. We started research on population trends, and we developed those mapping tools. We started the infrastructure needs assessment with Rutgers. We procured the software, and we began the development of the plan document. Next slide. So in 2024, we want to begin the mapping process, and that's what has begun. We require that we get resolutions, as you know, from counties to be the negotiating entity. The rules anticipate that the counties will be the negotiating entity, but a county can opt out if they so choose. We strongly, strongly discourage that, because we think it's really important for the counties to have a role and to have a voice. Just like we strongly encourage every municipality to participate, because that's the best way to have a voice in what, I can't promise you're going to get everything you ask for, but at least you have a voice, and you have some way, some vehicle to communicate. 11 counties, we've gotten resolutions from 11 counties, so we've gotten half the state that have already sent us resolutions. We have 2 or 3 that are on their way. A couple are waiting until the plan comes out. But the earlier we can get a jump on this mapping process, the better off we're going to be once this formal process takes place. Because that is, as I mentioned, probably 90% of the discussion. And so we're hoping to, by the end of this year, have much of that discussion well underway, if not completed. And then by early 2025, we will complete the infrastructure needs assessment, the impact assessment. We will have a final draft plan as a result of course acceptance, and then hopefully we can adopt. That's kind of the timeline. Next slide. Implementation is important. I can't say enough about having to implement. A plan is only as good as its implementation. You have a good plan, it's a great plan. If it sits on the shelf and doesn't go anywhere, not a good plan. So I threw up there a couple of statistics, I won't go into them now, about how what we're looking at today in today's demographics is very, very different from what traditionally we went through in the 1980s. Family size is smaller. The need for school infrastructure isn't as big as it was in the 1980s. And there's a number of statistics and demographics that are very, very different. So we need to look at land use a little differently, and we can provide that information, and that information will be in the preliminary plan. So I want to thank the participation. Bob has been great. I think Atlantic County does have challenges, absolutely has challenges. Elizabeth always talks to me about Atlantic City. We know that's going to be a difficult one, because We want to invest in Atlantic City, but we also have to respect climate change, and we need to figure out how to do it all. You have many barrier islands that are going to be a challenge going forward. And so what our role is to kind of be the mediator and try to figure out how to respect climate change, but make sure that there is enough economic growth to support all of our communities. I always say planning areas 1 and 2, while they're largely developed, there should always be green space in a planning area 1 and 2. In the areas that are 4 and 5, where you have a lot of green space, there should always be some economic development opportunity. So the definition of a planning area isn't exclusively that definition. You need to have green space in the more urbanized areas. You need to have economic growth in the rural areas. The question is, how do you do it, and how do you do it all? It's kind of like, I want it all, and I want it now. And that's what we try to do. We're not perfect at it, and clearly not everybody gets everything that they want, but we try to get as close to that as we can. That's it. So thank you. Questions?
Thank you. Donna, thank you for coming out today. It's a little difficult to answer or have some questions for you at this time, because if you don't have a plan prepared, how are we going to talk about cross-acceptance or anything else? Because I don't know what your goals and the state's goals and objectives are. At this time, does the State Planning Commission have some specifics on objectives they want to achieve as we move forward, that you could provide the commissioners with at this point in time? It's not the actual plan, but in order to develop your plan, you got to have goals and objectives you want to incorporate into it.
Correct. The current plan right now has 8 goals, and those goals are primarily around
Climate change?
well, the current plan doesn't have it in the one from 2001.
No, the one you're working on.
The one we're working on will include climate change and will include equity. Those are the 2 we want to add to the existing.
Equity, you mean as far as infrastructure? I'm just trying.
Equity's
pretty broad statement.
equity
You're talking about
is-
equity with housing. You're talking about equity with, energy, or you talking? I don't.
It was originally thought about to talk about environmental justice and ensuring that overburdened communities do not get more of their fair share of poor air quality, poor groundwater, those types of things. But equity is really a broader. In my mind, environmental justice is one spoke of the equity umbrella.
And that's spread across the state.
Yes.
The equity, just are you looking at specific areas that are targeted?
I
Just
think.
trying to grasp where your guys are looking.
I think equity is throughout the state. You have to have equity throughout the state. Obviously, the more urbanized areas have the biggest issue with environmental justice, and I get that. But equity is also around making sure that farmland stays as an industry, and how do you grow that? So equity means different things in different areas, but it is throughout the state. We are a very, very diverse state, and we have concerns about warehouses and farmland, for example. How do we make sure that the logistics industry is 12% of New Jersey job growth. How do you make sure you continue to support that without degrading the farmland? And how do you do that? So that's one of the questions. So while environmental justice deals primarily with pollution, equity goes broadly around housing. How do you provide good, affordable housing in appropriate places? There are many communities who will say, I want to put my affordable housing off in the corner of the town where nobody sees it. But if you have a train station, shouldn't it be closer to a train station or a job center? How do you do that? And how do you make sure you have that comprehensive training?
Well, will you guys, excuse me, I don't mean to interrupt you, but as you're doing that planning document and you're talking about color requirements that municipalities all have currently, is that going to stay part of the state planning doctrine, or is it going to be changed, or is there going to be changes coming about that? It sounds like you're getting into
it gets
quite a
into-
lot of planning statewide that's going to impact everybody. If it's agriculture, you're dealing with Pinelands communities, Pinelands legislation and stuff that's all housing, all that's already been talked about for 25, 30 years. I guess your state planning document's going to try to address all those in these areas. I'm speaking just about Atlantic County.
Yeah, that's fair. So there is an affordable housing goal. It's basically providing affordable housing throughout the state, and the need is huge. The need is absolutely huge. And so there is a goal that addresses affordable housing and affordability in housing. We want to more broadly talk about, it's not just projects or market rate. There are a number of options you can do. There's two-family homes, there's accessory dwelling units. There's a number of different options you can use to address that. Now, what DCA is doing with the new legislation in A4, the affordable housing legislation, I don't have authority over that, and that's really DCA's bailiwick. They identify a number, and that number is dealt with through DCA, and if you don't agree with it, it goes to the courts. I have no authority over what the number is, but we are working on a document that identifies how best to site that affordable housing. Maybe it should go near job centers, so people don't need 2 cars to get to their job. Maybe it's near daycare centers. Maybe it's not in floodplains, those types of things, and how you would look at your community differently, perhaps through either redevelopment. If you have an abandoned strip mall, maybe you can use that land as a potential site. So we can play a part in that, in helping municipalities and helping communities identify how to site affordable housing and where it should go in an equitable manner, and that's the connection to equity.
One other question is, for the state to reach these goals that you guys are talking about in this planning document, I assume that you're going to have funding in place that's going to be specifically targeted to help these specific areas meet these targeted goals. Is that what the state's planning on doing?
There are some funding programs. I mentioned before that there is not enough money on the planet to do everything we want to do. So the reality is, are we going to have enough to do everything? Probably not. But I know there are programs in place. HMFA has some really good programs. They're the state administrator of the low-income housing tax credit program, and they have some phenomenal projects. They have really, really nice projects. It's going to take public-private partnerships. There are a lot of really good affordable housing developers out there, but it's working together with the private sector and the development community and the state to make sure that we're able to provide that. And again, are we going to be able to meet 100% of the goal? Probably not. But if we can get some of the way there, most of the way there, that's our objective.
I appreciate if you can get us the information about your objectives. And it's probably, you can give it to us, and send it to the clerk so all the commissioners can have what some of the state's goals are that you're specifically looking to target.
We can provide the goals that are currently in the plan plus the 2 new goals that we're going to be adding. And they're basically around environmental protection, economic growth, affordable housing, infrastructure, and comprehensive planning. And that's the top line, but we are going to be adding the climate change and equity piece of it. So at least we can get you there. And then we'll also send you the link to the current plan so you can take a look at that.
Again, thank you for the presentation and I know you mentioned that Atlantic County has a lot of environmentally sensitive areas. And I don't know if it was a result of you speaking to Cape May County, but I know a couple of months ago they expressed some similar concerns about the threat. I'm not going to debate climate change, but the concern that a lot more properties will be placed in the flood zone. And going back to, I guess, the governor's executive order of 2000 resulted in the, what they call it, the Protecting Against Climate Threat, the PACT Act. So, and I know you said that these are just guidance, but do they mesh with that NJDEP proposed changes that would affect properties being put into that flood zone along the coast? I mean, I know Cape May mentioned some concerns. This board, a couple of years ago, also has some concerns that were initially expressed by the Chamber of Commerce that many more properties that would not be allowed to be developed along the coast.
Right. So DEP is regulatory. if those rules, if the PACT rules get approved, we're thinking probably by next September, they will become required, and they're rules that we need to deal with. And part of the reason that we have a slight delay in the preliminary plan is we're trying to figure out how best to deal with that, but also give that opportunity for folks to have some growth areas and understand. It's tough. It's not going to be an easy choice in some cases, but a lot may have to do with where we locate and how we locate, whether it's residential or commercial development, and how we do that. And that's where you have to look at either a municipality or a county in a comprehensive manner. Maybe we also have to look at things regionally a little bit. How do you look at your region? You may not be able to achieve all of the goals within each municipality, especially because some of them are really small. But if we look at them either countywide or watershed management-wide, or look at things regionally, maybe another solution in how to get to that.
Okay, and again, I think you mentioned that this would be a 20 to 30 year plan for guidance. I think one of the concerns initially with the PAC is that it's using 80-year projections for climate change. So that, again, there are concerns that doesn't necessarily mesh with the plan that's, I guess, supposed to be guidance for 30 years. If DEP is looking 80 years out, I think the concern was you kind of back up a little bit and then reassess after your guidance is expired or needs to be renewed.
So the state plan is anticipated to be updated, well, the statute says every 3 years. That's a little bit too aggressive. But if the state plan gets updated every, say, like a master plan does, every 6 to 10 years, let's say, the reason DEP is using that 70-year time frame is because when you build a building and you build housing, that's the anticipated life of a building. And so when you're building either whether it's residential or commercial development, they're looking out to the life of that development. It does not align exactly, but also the science will be getting updated every, X number of years, and they can adjust that. They have projections, and those projections may be too aggressive, they may be too conservative. And so as they're updating their projections, we'll be updating our plan hopefully every 6 to 10 years.
Keep that in mind moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Gatto?
Thanks. Couple of questions. In the beginning of the presentation, you mentioned infrastructure is kind of a broad term, and you listed a bunch of pieces that are included. Is historic preservation included in there?
I believe it is, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I heard you say something like we put in a plan places where we want to encourage growth, like rural areas need to have some growth balanced with like staying rural. What if some of our rural areas don't want to have growth encouraged? Are we allowed to
And that's
say
okay.
that?
Yes, you
Okay.
are allowed to say that. And where we agree that, and it kind of goes back to what I mentioned before, in that even if it's a rural area, there needs to be opportunity for growth. It's really a question of where it goes and how it's built. So we believe that if you have an area that is right off of a highway and it's in an industrial zone, then maybe that's where the industrial development should go. We are trying to avoid taking up green space to do that development. We really focus on dense development, compact development. Mixed use is really, really important to us. We want people to be living where the jobs are. If you look at our business jobs, in 12% of the jobs in New Jersey are from small businesses. And so that's a fairly decent number, that's a large number. But we want it to be where it's a walkable community, where people can walk to your neighborhood store, where your neighborhood get your services. And it's really, so it's not only a focus of where, but how. Yes, there's always going to be a need for economic growth in the rural areas. There's always going to need a space for green space. There's kind of a rule of thumb that says nobody should be more than a 10-minute walk from a park. And that's great in a rural area, not so easy to get to in an urban area. So it happens and it's there, but that's, if we're not conscious about those things, then it could grow in a way we don't want to see it grow.
And that also takes into account things like I can think about on Route 30, heading toward Paddington. There's a lot of rural area that can't be developed because there's no gas line running out there, there's no water or sewer, there's no place to even put septic in some cases because there's, wetlands or marshlands, things like that. So does all of that get taken into account before you say, along the Route 30 corridor, you should do some development?
Well, the state plan talks more about sort of more like the 30,000 foot level and does concepts. And when we look at the map, we do look at it that specifically. But at the same token, what we might do is say maybe the growth should be along an evacuation route, because you always want to care for an evacuation route in the event you have to get out of the coast early. So it does take that into account, but at the same token, we also have to look at what's existing, where does it make sense to invest more? Does it make sense to invest that infrastructure where there's repetitive losses? And those are really hard decisions. They're very hard and they're very emotional decisions, there's no doubt. But if you're in an area that has a repetitive loss, does it make sense to put millions and millions of dollars of infrastructure in? And those are the questions that make this not so easy. But yeah, those are the things we consider.
And how are you handling either vacant retail space or projections on vacant retail space as we're in the more, online shopping kind of era? And same thing for office space, existing office space that's in use and an office vacant, and where the projection for companies actually being in an office versus work from home environment in 30 years, like how's that being handled?
So we are promoting redevelopment as the go-to way to put in some of that infrastructure, some of that, whether it's affordable housing, whether it's that economic growth opportunity. You can take a vacant office building and turn it into affordable housing. And so if a town comes in and says, I have no developable land, then maybe you take that vacant office building and convert it. Maybe that strip mall can become a medical facility that might be better for doctor's offices. But when we talk about how we would promote siting affordability and affordable housing and those important issues, then that's where we would look to go, is some of the vacant properties. Because you're right, we don't know what retail's going to look like. Part of what we have to do in the plan is we have to do population and employment projections. And frankly, we don't know if the patterns that we're seeing today as a result of COVID are going to stay, are going to go. So it's almost like we have to punt a little bit on this. But we do know that there is going to be more work at home. And then how do you adjust for people working at home, and where are they going to go eat during their lunch breaks, as opposed to a normal office function? And so those are all things that we are considering.
Yeah, I think a lot of municipalities, and certainly us, I think we know it would be great to convert retail or office space into housing. I just don't think there's a private business case for that, and so I think that's where funding would really need to be a priority, is, to help with some of that construction costs.
Understood.
And then just final couple groups I want to make sure are engaged in the process from our area. First of all, Atlanta County Economic Alliance, are they? I've spoken to, as being part of the Business Action Center, we do quarterly meetings with chambers
and economic growth folks. And I did present to every county through Melanie's quarterly meetings with them. I think I did it last October, so they were at least apprised of it, but we will make sure that they're part of this.
Okay. CRDA?
They are part of it, they need to be informed of all of this, and they need to, yes, they will be part of it.
SJCPO?
Yes.
And then the Southern New Jersey Development Council?
Yes, I was actually there, they're the folks that are out of the airport, I think.
I don't think so. SJCPO.
Okay, yeah, I'll make sure that they're on there. SJTPO, as well as the other the other two MPOs, we're actually working with them on the population projections, because we think it's important to be consistent with the MPOs. So we're working closely with them, specifically on the population projections. And then, these are all groups that we need to include.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other commissioner comments? Commissioner online? Do we have anything from anybody from the public? Any comments? Hey, Elizabeth, did you have anything you wanted to, any input? Okay, Donna, thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Great, we know, thank you very much for being here. And I think our commissioners might send their notes to you as well.
Absolutely.
So, thank you,
Absolutely.
greatly appreciate it.
Okay, you get me through Bob. Do you need me to stay?
Use up. No. Okay. No. Okay, let's start with our resolutions, with resolution 437.
Commissioner Corsi has joined the meeting.
I just said that one.
I believe Commissioner Burns also, right?
Yes. Amending resolution number 122 adopted March 26, 2024, a professional services agreement with various contractors to reallocate funds for alcohol and drug prevention, education, and treatment services, no additional cost.
Move.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Gatto, second by Commissioner Bertino. Any commissioner comments? Seeing, hearing none, anything from the public? Okay, we have a roll call.
Dallas?
Yes.
Patino?
Yes.
Burns?
Yeah.
Corsi?
Yes.
Days?
Yes.
Gatto?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes, motion carries. Resolution 438, please.
Amending resolution number 95 adopted on March 5th, 2024, a professional services agreement with various vendors to increase the amount of temporary nursing services to Meadowview Nursing and Rehabilitation Center and the Division of Public Health, net increase $625,000.
Move.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Gatto, second by Commissioner Risley. Any commissioner comments?
Madam Chair, I just think it's important to note that this is a kind of shift of employee funds to contracted funds. That's why it's such a significant increase. But we've lost staff and we're using our contracted funds to replace it at this time.
Thank you. Any other commissioner comments? Anything from the public? Okay, we have a roll call.
Ballas?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Burns?
Yeah.
Corsi?
Yeah.
Days?
Yes.
Gatto?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes, motion carries. Resolution 439.
Competitive contract with the Atlantic County Sheriff's Office for the provision of court security at the Central Municipal Court of Atlantic County, amount not to exceed $502,000.
Moved. Second.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Ballas, second by Commissioner Gatto. Any commissioner comments?
Yeah, Madam Chair. I know we have Sheriff here. I don't know if he's going to want to comment on any of this, but we did discuss this at our subcommittee meeting yesterday. We did receive, quite a few bids for this, which was nice. And we went through a pretty rigorous scoring process within county administration with a number of stakeholders involved. And our county sheriff department did end up being the highest scorer. So,
And the lowest bid?
and the lowest bid, but that wasn't the only factor.
Right,
So,
quite a few factors.
Mhm.
High score and lowest bid. Thank you, Commissioner. Any other commissioner comments?
Madam Chair? Yeah, first of all, I'm happy to see this back in the hands of the Sheriff's Office. I think it should have been their work all along. Second, being the Sheriff's here, and they just enlighten us on his plan a little bit as to how he's going to attack this.
Absolutely. Sheriff?
we're back over top.
Good evening, everybody. So I first want to thank Mr. Del Rosso, his staff, and county council for all their assistance in this matter. It was a vigorous endeavor. We had to competitively bid to get this back, as you know, which is something new for the county, certainly something new for the sheriff's office. It's our intention to staff this with 5 new employees and several employees that we have in place already. We will supply the much-needed security that's needed for the court, the staff, our judicial people in place. You know, we've had several issues that private security can't handle. This also keeps our police officers from every municipality on the street. And what do I mean by that? I want to clarify, if I may. In the transportation of prisoners from the county jail, and when they have to testify, that means if an incident occurred in Linwood or Northfield or anybody that's involved in this court system, their officer would have to leave that jurisdiction or be placed on overtime to come and transport the prisoner, sit with the prisoner, guarantee the security of that prisoner without the security of the building being secured. So what I'll say to you is the sheriff's office will assume the transportation of these prisoners from the county jail to the court system. We'll also be returning them. As you know, to return prisoners, because of the amount of problems that we have and the lack of staffing in some areas in policing, it's difficult and timely. It keeps our cops on the street where they should be for the municipalities involved. Also, it's clearly we're the lowest bidder, presents a savings to the community and all who are involved in this process of the county municipal courts. I believe in that system. I believe it can work. I believe it should work. But it needs a cooperative effort by both county and the sheriff's office, who is part of this county, and the policing agencies in the 10 municipalities that are involved. I would encourage, and I believe I'm encouraged by the fact that we have this, we can bring the safety and security back to that building, utilizing what we have in place already. Keeping in mind, private security has no authority to arrest, detain, or to charge. We have all that authority. It's clear to me that there's been an absence of checking the court list to ensure the people in there don't have other warrants. We will do that. We will effectuate the rest of those people on the spot. We will transport them with our transport team to the county jail. This also helps municipalities because they would have to take custody of that person for other warrants and transport them as well, or be called to the location when it is discovered. We have a challenging time that we're all in. Safety and security is paramount. Our judges seem to be much happier that we're coming back to do that. We're trained to do that. And I think I'm open to any questions you may have at this point.
Sheriff, you know that we're very proud of you, your officers, your staff, and we have full confidence in you. We're very happy to have you back. Any comments from our commissioners? Thank you very, very much.
Well, I appreciate it. I just want to say to
And
Commissioner
Chair,
Parker?
just really quickly, I want to echo the comments of Commissioner Ballas. I am also very pleased, as I know many of the commissioners are, to see that this is back in the sheriff's hands, as we all believe it should have been and should have stayed. And so anything that we can do to help you throughout this transition, just let us know.
we appreciate that. I can tell you that I have both Under Sheriff Lee and Under Sheriff Suarez with me here tonight. The people in this department, and I know Sheriff Ballas will understand this, since taking office, clearly we're on post. We are averaging, fair to say, 60, sometimes 70-hour work weeks to accomplish our goals. We'll continue to do that. We'll pay diligence, duty, and obligation to this task. We'll make you prouder, and we couldn't do it without the county assistance that we've received and all of you. And I have to say, it's not me. I'm just the person who's blessed to be in in front of this, but I couldn't do it without the leadership and the staff that I have and the men and women of my agency. I thank you for your confidence.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Madam Chair.
Mr.
Yeah,
Bell.
just want to mention, I mean, the county's position, you know, with the sheriff's office and the sheriff being an elected position, you know, right now we have a good sheriff in here who's going to make sure that this is ran right.
Coming from a
It's-
great sheriff, I'll thank you.
It's held to the budget and, you know, not expanded from that. And hopefully you're laying out a template that any future sheriff, you know, whether it's 3 years from now, 10 years from now, or 100 years from now, you know, will follow that template and, you know, this stays with the county, with the county sheriff's office. You know, the reason that it went out to bid and the reason that the other sheriff, you know, got rid of it was money, you know, dollars and cents. And, you know, the municipalities were up in arms because it was costing so much money and it was ran so poorly. So, you know, we're putting our faith in you guys, and like I said, hopefully this is a template that all future sheriffs, you know, will follow. And, you know, this work stays with the sheriff's office where, as you laid out, you know, a security guard can't make an arrest. You know, they can stop and maintain the peace until somebody else has to get there, but that somebody else, you know, would be either the sheriff's office or the municipality in which that court is held. And, you know, that's an expense. So having trained professional officers, you know, at that door and in that courtroom and making the transports, I think is a home run for our county. And just want you to stay on the budget.
Now, I think you know, having 12 kids, putting a little water in the soup doesn't hurt, right? So I also want to say, having had served during that time as a councilman for Egg Harbor Township, I'm aware of the concern of both the public and all the people who are in charge of the purse. And Mr. Del Rosso is probably one of the biggest advocates of that. So you can believe that with his assistance, we'll keep it in line. That's our commitment. But again, we want to thank everybody for their support. This is important to us as an agency, and it is about the future of policing in Atlantic County. I believe in that. It's been my life's dedicated work, and I made that commitment, and I'll continue to, I promise. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the commissioners? Anything from the public? Okay, we'll have a roll call.
Ballas?
Yes.
Patino?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Coursey?
Yes.
Hayes?
Yes.
Gatto?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes, motion carries. Thank you again.
Thank you, folks.
Okay, resolution 440.
Bid contract with Ararock Paving Company Incorporated for roadway improvements at English Creek Avenue, County Route 575 in Egg Harbor Township, amount not to exceed $1,397,000.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Rizzi, second by Commissioner Gatto. Any commissioner comments?
Madam Chair.
Commissioner
Yeah, what section of, road is this going to be?
It's West Jersey to Route 40.
Perfect.
Right, yeah.
Any other commissioner comments? Okay, hearing none, anything from the public? Okay, we'll have a roll call.
Ballas?
Yes.
Patino?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Coursey?
Yes.
Hayes?
Yes.
Gatto?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes, motion carries. Resolution 441.
Bid contract with Ararock Paving Company Incorporated for the resurfacing of Egg Harbor Road, County Route 561 and County Route 602 in Hamilton, amount not to exceed $1,548,800.
Move.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Gatto, second by Commissioner Rizzi. Any commissioner comments? Seeing and hearing none, anything from the public? Okay, we'll have a roll call.
Ballas?
Yes.
Patino?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Coursey?
Yes.
Hayes?
Yes.
Gatto?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes, motion carries. Resolution 442, please.
Renewal bid contract with Northeast Plumbing Services Limited Liability Company for supplemental plumbing maintenance and repairs, amount not to exceed $336,000.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Bertino, second by Commissioner Gatto. Any commissioner comments? Seeing and hearing none, anything from the public? Okay, we'll have a roll call.
Ballas?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Coursey?
Yes.
Days?
Yes.
Gatto?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes, motion carries. We'll come to Commissioner Coursey's favorite, change orders, resolution 443.
Change order number 1, a contract with Providence Auto Group Limited Liability Company for preventative maintenance for Atlantic County vehicles, net increase $6,000.
Move.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Gatto, second by Commissioner Days. Any commissioner comments?
That little lift, I think means that Commissioner Coursey is feeling just fine over there. Feeling a little bit better.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
Any other commissioner comments? Anything from the public? Okay, we'll have a roll call.
Ballas?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Coursey?
Yeah, yes.
Days?
Yes.
Gatto?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes, motion carries. Resolution 444.
Amending resolution number 480 adopted on September 5th, 2023, a lease agreement with S&T Realty Limited Liability Company for warehouse space to be utilized by Atlantic County Division of Facilities, amount not to exceed $12,000.
Move.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Gatto, second by Commissioner Bertino. Any commissioner comments?
Madam Chair.
Yes,
Just to
Commissioner.
highlight, this should get us through, I think it was year end, which should get us to the opening of the new warehouse. And then we can terminate that contract.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other commissioner comments? Seeing and hearing none, anything from the public? Okay, we'll have a roll call.
Ballas?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Coursey?
Yes.
Days?
Yes.
Gatto?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes, motion carries. Resolution 445, please.
Amending resolution number 599 adopted on November 14, 2023, an alternate method contract with Point Click Care Technologies Incorporated to provide proprietary billing and electronic medical record software at Meadowview Nursing and Rehabilitation Center, net increase $5,041.
Move.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Gatto, second by Commissioner Bertino. Any commissioner comments? Seeing and hearing none, anything from the public? Okay, we'll have a roll call.
Ballas?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Coursey?
Yes.
Days?
Yes.
Gatto?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes. Resolution 446, please.
National County Purchasing Alliance Agreement with 84 Lumber Company for the purchase of lumber supplies, amount not to exceed $100,000.
Move.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Gatto, seconded by Commissioner Days. Any commissioner comments? Seeing and hearing none, anything from the public? Okay, we'll have a roll call.
Ballas?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Coursey?
Yes.
Days?
Yes.
Gatto?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes, motion carries. Resolution 447.
Alternate method contract with Election Systems and Software for the provision of election tabulation, amount not to exceed $200,000.
Move.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Gatto, seconded by Commissioner Bertino. Any commissioner comments?
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Gatto.
As discussed yesterday, they are looking to have that at 200,000, just considering the volume that we're gonna have with the presidential election and make sure that we have enough staff on hand and things like that. So,
Thank you. Any other commissioner comments? Seeing and hearing none, anything from the public? Okay, we'll have a roll call.
Ballas?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Coursey?
Yes.
Days?
Yes.
Gatto?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes, motion carries. Resolution 448.
Amending resolution number 46 adopted on January 21st, 2020, an EUS contract with Allbridge Limited Liability Company to provide cable television to the residents of Meadowview Nursing and Rehabilitation Center, net increase $7,500.
Move.
Second.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Gatto, seconded by Commissioner Risley. Any commissioner comments?
Madam Chair? Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Burns?
Can yeah. Just a quick thank you to Jerry. Jerry had absolutely no idea that the residents couldn't get the Phillies game of all things. My mother-in-law was in there. Can't say enough about the care she had and substitute for her rehab. The staff there is amazing, and the residents were complaining to my husband about his Philly T-shirt and the things they couldn't get, and I just called Jerry and he's like, I'll take care of it. So thank you, Jerry. She's no longer there. Thank God they took great care of her. But thank you to everybody. That's all.
Yeah, Madam Chair, that's what I was going to mention. So you guys will probably see this come back up on the agenda as we discussed in our subcommittee yesterday. Sports is a very high priority over there. I understand and agree. I don't think they can still currently get it, so that we're working with Comcast and a couple other, I think, providers to see if we have any other options in terms of a whole package or a bundle or whatever that we can figure out. So more to come on this one.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Eagles games are a high priority.
Yeah, but they are working on that. That was definitely a priority in the conversation. Commissioner Ballas, did you have something?
Yeah, just, Jerry, is this 112,000 just for the cable service?
Yes. Yes, as a matter of fact, Michelle is on. I think she mentioned yesterday that Comcast was higher than this. So they moved to this this Allbridge company. And so, you know, when Commissioner Burns had said that they were having difficulty getting the Phillies games, I called Michelle. She was telling me that since they've gotten rid of Comcast because it was more expensive, no one really ever said anything in there that they can't get the Phillies games. I mean, this was like brought to our attention.
Local
so.
sports. They can get local sports.
Correct, yeah.
Local, yes. I was just wondering, I mean,
local sports, yeah.
whether
Yeah.
the avenue was ever explored to maybe replace the TVs with smart TVs and just work them off the internet, like half the people in the county are doing now.
Well, we just so you know, we have a plan to do something a little bit 21st or I guess 21st century in there. We made a proposal to Senator Booker's office. They made the first cut, and then they did make the second cut, and now we're working on another plan. So it would be all brand new televisions. It would give them all new phone systems. Would allow. There's a difficulty, I believe, with Meadowview in terms of cell service, things like that. All of that would be taken care of through this grant that we're looking at right now. And it was a recommendation from our IT director, Brian Root. So, yeah.
Awesome.
So, yes, we are doing that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Jerry. Thank you, Jerry.
Yes, go ahead.
Hi, this is Michelle.
Yeah.
I also wanted to comment that the 112,500 is not each year. That's for the entire contract, I believe, for 5 years. And then if we need to go with Comcast, so we're trying to look at different options to see if we can get a better package for all of the residents, either through this company or a different company. But Comcast each year was about 15,000 more than this company. So we're definitely looking at options.
Yeah, thanks for pointing that out.
Thanks,
Michelle.
Michelle.
Makes more sense.
It is for 5 years.
Thanks, Michelle.
Yeah, appreciate you clarifying that, Michelle. Thank you.
Yeah.
She's working hard on it because she's a big fan as well. We all know that. Okay, any comments from the public? Okay, we'll have roll call.
Ballas?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Burns?
Yeah.
Forsy?
Yes.
Days?
Yes.
Gatto?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes, motion carries. Resolution 449.
Contract with various providers for the provision of hospice services at Meadowview Nursing and Rehabilitation Center, no cost.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Gatto, second by Commissioner Days. Any commissioner comments? Seeing here, any answer from the public? Here we have a roll call.
Ballas?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Burns?
Yeah.
Forsy?
Yes.
Days?
Yes.
Gatto?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes, motion carries. Resolution 450.
Bid contract with L. Ferriazzi Company for the resurfacing of Brigantine Avenue, sections 2B and 2C in the city of Brigantine, amount not to exceed $1,742,177.19.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Commissioner Risley, seconded by Commissioner Days. Any commissioner comments? Okay, seeing and hearing none. Anything from the public? Okay, we'll have a roll call.
Alice?
Yes.
Patino?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Coursey?
Yes.
Days?
Yes.
Gatto?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes, motion carries. Brings us to resolution 451.
Brown Greer Settlement Fund Administrator under the caption of opioid settlement account 2022 in the amount of $706,317.34.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Gatto, seconded by Commissioner Risley. Any commissioner comments? Seeing and hearing none. Anything from the public? Okay, we'll have a roll call.
Ballas?
Yes.
Patino?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Coursey?
Yes.
Days?
Yes.
Gatto?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes, motion carries. Resolution 452.
Appointment of Kimberly Perez to the Atlantic County Workforce Development Board for a term to expire on June 30th, 2027.
Moved. Second.
Moved by Commissioner Ballas, seconded by Commissioner Bertino. Any commissioner comments? Seeing and hearing none. Anything from the public? Okay, we'll have a roll call.
Ballas?
Yes.
Patino?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Coursey?
Yes.
Days?
Yes.
Gatto?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes, motion carries. Resolution 453.
Authorizing consent for a roadway solicitation event by Egg Harbor Township High School Baseball Booster Club at the intersection of Ocean Lakes Avenue, County Route 559, and Zion Road, County Route 615 in Egg Harbor Township on Saturday, November 2nd, 2024, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Move.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Gatto, seconded by Commissioner Days. Any commissioner comments? Seeing and hearing none. Anything from the public? Okay, we'll have a roll call.
Ballas?
Yes.
Patino?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Coursey?
Yes.
Days?
Yes.
Gatto?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes, motion carries. Does anybody have any written communications or petitions that they would like to share? Okay, any reports of special committees that anybody would like to share? Seeing none. Any unfinished business? Okay, any new business?
Madam Chair.
Madam Chair.
Okay. Commissioner Parker.
Madam Chair, through you to Jerry. Jerry, I received a phone call from our officers union president from inside the jail, and they're telling me that there was a letter that was sent 2 weeks ago to you asking to open the contract to receive competitive salaries. And the issue being they're down 35 officers from my understanding, and they only have 3 applicants to replace those 35, and this things are getting pretty, they're pretty concerned about the conditions inside the jail. So I want to know if there's anything that you can tell us about what's going on with this letter, if in fact it happened, what it's about, and what we're doing to address the issue.
I haven't seen the letter, Commissioner, so if they emailed it to me, I have not seen it. I can tell you, the president of the union called me, I would say a month or so ago, and he asked me to consider salary increases. And I have spoken to Mr. Fedorko and Mr. Kelly, and it's on my plate now to call a meeting and I guess to determine whether or not we can afford to make that that kind of move. And so that's again, but I haven't received any letter. If they send a letter, they should send it to me again because I haven't seen it and what they asked for. So.
Jerry, things are getting pretty tough in there. And I mean, and I hear you saying that we can't afford it, and I get that portion of it. But if we can afford it, what would be, like, what are our options here? Because we're losing officers and we're not replacing them, and the situation inside of the jail is getting dire. What are our options?
Oh, we'd have to talk about them. I mean, you know, the point would be is can we move inmates out to some other jail? Or would we be allowed to do that? I'm not sure. We'd have to explore that. But I mean, I think, let me go back. So the state has made some,
Jerry?
yes,
This really sounds like a personnel.
right, yes,
personnel
I'm not,
issue.
right.
No, I know, I'm just
Yeah.
trying to just jump, I'm just, Commissioner Parker, I think this should be a committee, just basically
Right.
it's a personnel, and it
Right.
should be a committee, discussion. I don't think.
I'm not talking about personnel, Madam Chair. I'm talking about safety in our jail.
I think it should be a committee discussion, what you're talking about right now. We do
So
have
which committee?
the jail
So
committee,
are we going to send this to committee? I don't have a
Yes.
problem sending this to committee.
that'd be great. Yeah,
It would have to go to two committees, Madam Chair, if I may. It would have to go to the Budget Committee, and also it go to Public Safety Committee. That's a conversation that needs to be housed in-house. Some of the stuff should not be discussed publicly for various reasons. And so I think the move is to go to committee, and I think the chairwoman should assign that to Public Safety / the Budget Committee as well.
very, very good input, Commissioner, we will do that.
Madam Chair, at least if you guys could get the letter sent again and through to Commissioner Parker, if they can send it to me.
I have not seen the letter, but I will ask
Okay.
if they'll send it to me so I can forward it to you, Jerry.
At that point, since all commissioners will be in.
Will do. Well, what I'll do, I'll send it to you, Madam Chair, and then you can disseminate it out
Sure.
once I receive it,
Sure.
if that's okay.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Just for the record, I mean, in Budget Subcommittee yesterday, we actually did have a pretty lengthy discussion with regard to the jail and jail operations, and it's continued discussion that we'll be having in Budget Subcommittee for sure. I think this is probably a more immediate issue that needs to be discussed in Jail Committee, but we are discussing it. So, sorry, Commissioner.
I was just going to suggest that instead of duplicating the process of this going to two different committees, we just get a couple members of each committee, as long as we're not adding enough people up to be a quorum. Some members, create a committee of a couple people from the Budget Committee, a couple people from the Jail Committee, and then we can
Absolutely.
instead of duplicating the process.
Okay, any other new business?
Madam Chair.
Yes. Commissioner Corsi.
Madam Chair, I have a question through you to the solicitor. As most of you know, West Atlantic City, and this might not be the setting, but I want to put it out there anyway. West Atlantic City, as you know, over the years has become very bad accident prone. As y'all all know, a couple weeks ago, 2 people lost their lives, and a woman that was 8 months pregnant as well. The question I have through you, Madam Chair, and to our solicitor, is there any kind of way we can draft some kind of letter, resolution, send it to the Department of Transportation, the Governor's Office, to see if in fact what we can do out there on that highway? Y'all know it's pitch black at night. I don't know if we can put barricades up. I don't know what we can do, but it is just a crying shame that people are losing their lives, whether they are driving, whether they are walking across the highway, etc. Something has to be done. Again, just a couple weeks ago, another tragedy accident out there, and this gets worse and worse. And I would ask our solicitor, Madam Chair, if you would look into perhaps drafting a resolution that all of us can support and send it up to the state and ask them to do some type of study. There's been enough accidents out there that they should need a whole bunch of studying. The fact of the matter is that the county and other municipalities can give them a number of how many deaths have taken place over a number of years, and it doesn't seem to be getting any better. It seems to be getting worse. And so, again, that's my suggestion, recommendation, through you, Madam Chair, to our solicitor.
Madam Chair, I believe we've done something similar like that in the past, so I don't
Yeah.
think that's going to be a problem at all. And Commissioner Corsi, I can coordinate with you about getting appropriate information. And obviously, you're going to be the sponsor, and I'll talk to the chair about putting that together.
Thank you so much.
Commissioner Bell.
Madam Chair, yeah, just to highlight it a little bit, the DOT has already been in the process of supposedly redesigning that roadway, raising that roadway. You know, there was meetings at the firehouse and everything else that's been going on for, what do you think, John, 10 years? At least 10 years. And I don't think the first pebble's been moved out there. I know there's township got grant money to buy up some of the motels, thinking that would help from people crossing back and forth across the street. But, you know, maybe the language we could include in that is for them to, you know, speed up this process and, you know, whatever studies they've been doing for the last 10, 15 years as far as raising that road and putting a barrier down the center and everything like that, they got to get moving forward on it.
So, Commissioner, Madam Chair, if I may, through you to Commissioner Ballard, again, I concur with that, but how many more steps do we have to do before something be done? So what we will do is once we draft this resolution or letter, we would then reach out to the devil's office for one of the spokesperson. Maybe we get them to come down and do a tour, and maybe we can get some data from the county prosecutor's office, major crime, or you know, people crossing the highway, cars going in the wrong direction, crossing the lane. I'm not saying what you're saying is wrong. I just think at some point, when is enough enough? And there's enough data out there to be able to have them move a little quicker than they're moving.
Yeah, I think we all agree.
Madam Chair, to our solicitor, we can use the very lengthy resolution that we did for 322 and Cologne Avenue that cited all of the accident data. And Commissioner Corsi, if you can get the governor's office down here for a tour there, maybe you could get them to come down and see the work that's just sitting there, not getting done there, which is a huge accident. It's one of the worst intersections in the state of New Jersey. So if we can get a fire lit in DOT and state government, that would be amazing.
If that road was in New Jersey, it'd be taken care of.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe we should get the state infrastructure office of planning to put it in the redevelopment.
It should definitely be in the state office of planning.
Yeah, infrastructure, they were talking about it, that might be.
Well, Cologne Ave, you know, they sent us a letter that said they were proud to tell us that in 2 to 3 years it would get done. So maybe if they put something that, you know, in 20 to 30 years something might get done, it might actually.
But thank you, Commissioner Corsi, that is very important in that area. It is tragic.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Do we have any other new business?
Madam Chair, this is probably not a really new business item, but just wanted to inform the governing body. I did attend the mid-year review by the ACUA in regards to their wastewater budget, and spoke with Matt Donofo, who was, as you know, very, very approachable. And he's certainly willing to come here, you know, and do a presentation, whether it be on trash or wastewater at any time.
Yeah, he's been very open to that.
Yeah, he's very, very good, very approachable on that, and that's a good thing. I also attended the second night of the 4-H fair where the county presents the Seashell Awards. I do that every year and I enjoy doing it. And they are awarded to 2 young people who are going to be the ambassadors for 4-H for the following year. So they congratulate the outgoing ones and welcome the new ambassadors for the year. There was 2 young ladies, and that went very, very well. And I also met there the new state agriculture secretary from New Jersey, Ed Wegerson, and we got to chat with him a little bit. So he's making all the rounds and doing the right things as the new Secretary of State for New Jersey for agriculture. And finally, I did attend with some of the others on the governing body here. Rich, you were there, and Commissioner Burns. I'm not Sure. It's just the three of us there. Commissioner Gatto was there for the virtual.
Yeah.
Okay, virtually for the hearing that Congressman Andrew and Mayor Sarah hosted in Brigantine. Very, very informative. We got a lot out of that, so that was time well spent.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other new business?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Bass?
again, maybe new business, maybe not, but anyway, with the election coming up this year, I got a phone call from a county employee. Apparently last year, after the election, there was mail-in ballots that were put into the, I guess there was a mailbox that sits outside of the county office building, that paperwork goes in for welfare department. And there was mail-in ballots that were dropped in there, apparently several of them. And I guess the question was, what were they going to do with them, and so forth and so on. And from what I'm being told, I didn't go over and look, but these two, the drop box for mail-in ballots and the box for the welfare department look similar, and they're close, they're right next to each other. Just worried that this is going to be an issue again this year, and if it can get addressed. Although I spoke with the clerk, and he told me he believes that the mailbox for the drop box was set on fire. So maybe if it was, then it's going to be put back out. Maybe it gets put in a different location.
Yeah, we had a fire in the building, somebody set a fire, and so the one box. Actually, there were 3 fires. We had 3 separate days, 3 different fires. One of the fires was set behind the election box, and for the most part, it destroyed the structural integrity of the box. So yes, they were going to have it moved. Chris Palermo, our facilities director, spoke with I think Ken Brophy from Board of Elections, and they were going to work on a new location for that box. It just has to be in Atlantic City, I believe. So yes, it won't be there next to the existing FCD box. Right.
All right, perfect. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other new business? Okay, anyone attending?
Madam Chair, if I may.
Oh, yes, Commissioner Corsi.
Madam Chair, if I may for one second, just want to chime in. I did get a call from folks at the election board as well concerned about that box out there being damaged, and they have asked us if there was going to be a different location. I had not had a chance to talk to Jerry about it, but I'm glad it was brought back up again today, because before you know it, it'd be time to put them out, put it back out. So I'm glad we're paying attention to it.
Thank you, Commissioner. Okay, anyone attending in person that would like to speak now in public comment, please come to the podium, speak into the microphone, state your name and the town you reside. If you're attending virtually and would like to make a public comment, please raise your hand. I will call upon your name and a request to unmute will be sent. Please state your name and the town you reside, and you will be provided up to 3 minutes to speak. I think there's somebody virtually, did you say, Kristen?
Yes.
Okay. And what is the person?
Nick Procassini?
Procassini.
Procassini?
Yes, he's the president of the correction.
He's unmuted.
Nick Procassini? Nick, are you there?
Can you guys hear me?
Mr. Procassini, yes, we can hear you.
How you doing? First off, I just want to thank Mr. Parker for speaking up for us. I've been in communication with him. He's been a big help to us. I want to give you a timeline on what has been going on at the jail. I first met with Jerry in March and explained to him how bad the jail actually is, with officers working 80, 70 hours a week. We can't hire anyone. This is not something that is new to the jail, but it needs to be addressed. And if we don't do something now, I don't know how much longer we're going to stay afloat. That's kind of the point that I think Parker was trying to make for us. The thing that the letter he's referring to, I sent that to the county council. I guess is the new one is Mr. Hughes. I will send it to all the commissioners. We're about $10,000 to $15,000 and $30,000 under the state salary right now. People are leaving us to go to them. I invite anyone in there to come into that jail and see what's going on right now. I'm not making this up. I've been president for 10 years. I don't complain about much, but you need to do something or it's going to be like Cumberland. We're going to be closed, and you know, a subcommittee, you need to have people that are actually in the jail on these subcommittees, not you know, pencil pushers, as you would say, or office. We need people to see what's going on. I'm not trying to bust too many chops here. I'm just trying to inform people on what is going on here. I've been quiet long enough. I think you guys need to come see it for yourself. And Jerry, I met with him in March. Kind of got, hey, we're going to do something, Nick. Nothing got done. I called him 2 weeks ago. It was more, all right, Nick, we'll work on something. So it's up to you guys now. I mean, I did my part. I'm informing you, and you know, that's all I could do. But I appreciate it. I watch all the videos. You know, you guys do a great job with the budget, but this should be top concern. It is your biggest expense in the county, I believe, right? So give us some love. Thank you.
No, thank you very much for being here. You know, we do have very active commissioners. When we send things to committee, we do take care of, you know, who's on this committee, and I'm sure you'll be seeing some of them. But thank you. Hey, we appreciate your comments. Is there anybody else from public that would like to? Okay. Any comments for the good of the order?
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
So the county executive asked me to come this week and talk about some new developments at the Meadowview. So two things occurred probably over the course of the last 2 weeks. First one is the federal VA. The staff had met with them and discussed through Congressman Lobiana's office, I think I mentioned this the last time, Congressman Dandrew, right?
You said
Yeah.
Lobiana.
I'm sorry. We were just talking about a location today, and so anyway, so Congressman Dandrew, and he actually had people from the VA speak to the staff, and they were going back and forth on some of the things that they can do. They have called back, and I think they're sending, or they might already have an agreement that actually shows another process to get veterans into Meadowview. It's called VA, Veterans Administration, CCN, Community Care Network. And it deals with Medicare and how Medicare is used. As you probably all know, Medicare is not a long-term care solution. It allows for up to 100 days of some type of service, generally rehab of some form. So they're working and sent us an agreement. It's being reviewed by the staff at Meadowview, and then we'll go over to County Council for review to determine whether or not we can actually, agree to those particular terms. The second thing that occurred was Commissioner Corsi called the governor's office, and they assigned a gentleman by the name of Rob Field. I think he is the new assistant chief of staff. Spoke with Commissioner Corsi. They got me on the phone. I spoke with Rob. We explained we had sent a letter to their I guess it's Colonel Mays, who's now the director for veterans and military affairs for the state. And what we agreed on was we send him the letter. He'd look at the letter, and then he would consider, I guess, speaking to the individuals in the governor's office to determine if they would come down and look at Meadowview, to determine whether or not they would look at creating Meadowview as a VA home, which was a recommendation from the county executive, and or whether or not there were other things they could do to us to expand the number of people we have in the nursing home, or make recommendations to us on the next steps. So the exec is asking me, as part of this conversation with the state, if the board would be willing to put together a resolution in support. As you know, and I would defer to Commissioner Dallas, the Veterans Advisory Board has agreed to send a letter of support for this particular concept. So I'm not asking you to vote tonight, but I will work along with you if you'd be interested in a resolution, and if there are things that you'd like us to put into the resolution that be more for clarification as to the exact process that we're looking at working with the state on. So we're willing to do that. So you tell me how you'd like to proceed, and, you know, I'll ask Ms. Hughes, and I guess we can work with your solicitor on putting something together for the board to review.
We can take that in budget.
So Jerry,
administration.
Madam Chair, if I may just chime in on that.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, everything Jerry said is absolutely correct. So what happened was, I wake up, I don't get much sleep, but I wake up early in the morning, I see this article in the paper, I immediately called the governor and asked him if he had looked at it, if he had received the letter. So the governor put 2 people on it right away. What we did was got Jerry on the conference call. Actually, Rob Field was supposed to reach out to me this week as well, Jerry. I'll do another follow-up to see if, in fact, the new chief of staff, Helmy, Tim Helm, has had a chance to start looking at it. But I did request that they come down and take a look at the facility. I think we are going to get that at a minimum. We just hope it's going to be sooner rather than later. But we have the attention on it down there. Whatever language and legislation you got to move on, we'll go from there. But the great opportunity if the state takes it over. And I'm told, and I didn't know this, that the state runs 3 veteran hospitals anyway.
That's correct.
So we'll take a look at it and see where we go from here.
So
That's all I have.
the resolution of support obviously would obviously support, you know, the whole concept of the letter that went in, and that the county is in, you know, full support of the concept. So if you like, we'll work, I'll work with Ms. Hughes and your solicitor on getting you some information.
Yeah, if we bring it to our next budget and administration subcommittee, we'll review it and make the recommendation.
Fine, great, okay, perfect, great, good, okay.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, Jared, did you, Commissioner Vallis, you said that the Veterans Advisory Board was in support of this as well in the past?
Yes,
something?
yeah. We spoke about it at the last Veterans Advisory Board meeting. There was a lot of information that was given from the county exec to the chairman, Mr. Davis, and also from the county executive to me, and the information that Jerry presented to us the night before at our last meeting. We meet on Tuesday, they meet on Wednesday, and with all that, it was unanimous that Veterans Advisory Board does support the concept of the county making Meadowview more accessible to veterans here in Atlantic County. And if it does come that you know, we need a resolution after it goes to, I guess, budget committee or whatever, I'd be more than happy to sponsor that resolution.
We can do a joint, so it's coming from veterans and from administration. If you want.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Madam Chair, as the Human Services Commissioner, that Meadowview falls underneath me, and having gone through this personally recently with my mother-in-law, I support it 100%. And so if you'd like to put my name on it, I'm in support of it. I think they do a great job, and I'm all about the veterans and moving forward with it. Difficult times for assisted living, and they do an amazing job, and I think it's a great idea. Thank you.
Thanks.
Madam Chair, if I may, just one comment. I guess, you know, we talked about the staffing issues at Meadowview earlier in the meeting, and I just want to, you know, I know the county executive sent a letter to the staff. I just want to make sure that, you know, we keep the staff in mind, and we, you know, and I guess informed as much as possible. We hate to lose staff, them not knowing exactly what's happening with the facility, and that, you know, we explore all this and try to move as quickly as we can to make sure that we keep the staff that we have in place. You know, everybody's just says you do an amazing job there, so.
So Ms. Nugent, just so you know, we have been, Ms. Nugent has been meeting with the staff and going through all the discussions we've been having, so I mean, obviously, you know, there are concerns, but, you know, from what I understand from the most recent conversation, if in fact the state would be willing to partner with us, it helps them because it doesn't hurt them at all because they'll be in the same, you know, pension system. It wouldn't be a private entity, it'd be another public entity, and that's really part of the concern. So.
Right, like,
And the more the more butts and beds, and we have a revenue source potentially from, some support,
Right.
that should then help with being able to attract and retain a higher complement of staff anywhere up here.
I just want, this board had asked us to do a few things. So at least one of them is, we're working on a non-disclosure agreement, to look at the potential to get an additional nursing staff in the facility. So we are looking at, community agencies that have that capability. So we were asked to do that by the board. We've done that. We're having conversations, and hopefully, they'll be fruitful at the end.
Thank you, Gary. Anything else for the good of the order? Hearing nothing, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Much conversation.